Here's my 14 favorite songs of 2023 plus 10 honorable mentions.
Number 14, The Shadows.
Get this shit straight. Get to the point, I got a lot on my plate. Bitch, I feel great. Push it to the limit, do whatever it takes.
I think this is the perfect song for me to say that what I think is my favorite thing in rap is flow. I still tend to prioritize lyrics, especially given the genre, but lyrics can take a backseat sometimes for me. The song could just have a really good vibe with the music and melodies being so good that I can get past some weak lyrics here and there. But flow is such a big thing for me, and it's not something that I ever seek out or pay attention to. It also goes hand in hand with vocal delivery and melodies. That's three things, but whatever. And like any other white teen who has Eminem and his first three artists that got him into rap, I got into fast raps for a period of time, and during that time was when I found Khan. Back when I first got into him, it was for the fast rapping, but still having at least somewhat of a meaning. It wasn't until this recent realization that I just love flows so much that I realized Khan's flows are so great. Not for how fast they are, but for how catchy they can be, and this is the perfect example. A great skill for rappers to have, in my opinion, is being able to ride on a beat, and Khan's flow fitting inside the pocket of this very bouncy beat and delivery complementing the bounce makes this chorus slap so fucking hard, and it's so goddamn catchy.
Gas in the tank, going full speed like I got no brakes. You don't relate to live like this, what the fuck you think is evident.
And there's also the ending of the first verse.
Jumping head first in the deep end, nigga, I ain't singing, I'll swim.
Anytime this song comes on, I cannot help but move along, and it's just so goddamn groovy. Beverly Hills' production is amazing. The 808s switch out depending on verse and chorus, and it's so goddamn bouncy, and the shit he has to do goes so fucking hard. The song is Khan's typical work track, how much he dedicates all his time to his craft, but he words it in a way where I could relate it with my YouTube work in a way that I really don't know how to explain. But that was a later reasoning for having it on the list. The main one is just how goddamn fun it is when listening to it. He also references Heath Ledger, and I keep forgetting that he does, but it's probably on a subconscious level that I like it because Batman. I'm also going to use this placement to say that one of the biggest problems I've had with writing the script for this year's video is some of these songs, while I genuinely love them a lot in 2023, I just have such little things to say about them. A lot of the times it just boils down to being a replayable bop that just sounds good to listen to. So if some of these placements have me not saying as much about the songs as others, that's pretty much why.
Number 13, The Laundry Plunderer.
So I had 3 Vinny's PM songs I could have chosen for this list, and I'm going with the one that introduced me to him.
Life's you ain't a shooter, nigga. You got no bullets in the clip. I'm trying to find a father figure hanging right along the strip. You ain't a shooter, nigga.
Don't get me wrong, that Cupid line and Slow Down makes it list material, but ultimately there's so many things about Ain't a Shooter that I love. For one, that goddamn chorus is the epitome of bounce. From the simplistic beat with the right 808s to Vinny's in the pocket flows and Sean's whoa whoa whoa. At least I assume it's Sean. It sounds more like him than Vinny. It's hard to find anything about this song. It doesn't even have a lyric video. Then there's Sean's verse. Vinny's is a good verse, like he usually brings, but I checked out Sean's solo music, and honestly, I was not impressed at all. But going from his solo music back to this song, his verse is the best verse I've ever heard from him. For the most part, he sticks to the central topic of the song, the glamification of gang crimes and shootings, which that topic alone is enough for me to like the song. Oh, and then there's the most hyped up part of the song after Sean's verse, where the beat drops out for the first half of the chorus, and the vocals are so dry and kinda crunchy that, I don't know, I just feel nothing but hype hearing Vinny just go the fuck off right before the beat comes back in, hitting harder than ever.
Now you slinging on the corner with that Glock right by your side. You never kill, but you got it there to intimidate some lives. You ain't a shooter, nigga. You got no bullets in the clip.
Fun song, great lyrics, absolute banger. Though there is one thing that stands out, and it's not a negative at all, but the beat sounds nothing like any other Vinny PM song. His beats are usually more funky, full, and lush, while this is a very simplistic, almost minimalistic, dark piano beat. Again, not a negative, because I love the beat, and I think it fits with the song topic, along with just Vinny and Sean writing it so well, but it is something noticeable when you get into the rest of Vinny's discography.
Whoa, 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 whoa. Whoa, 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 whoa.
Number 12, Yippies.
So I got into this next band because of a cover of Pumped Up Kicks, got into their heavily political album, then they made it onto my first ever Best Songs of the Year list with a cover of You Spin Me Right Round. And not a single time did I ever think they would make a song with Mick fucking Gordon. Let alone 5, and the first song, Merchant of the Void, would be the most appropriate song given that intro, but while it was a surprise, and I did like it, the chorus just sounded too much like Lex over a Doom instrumental, but their second release, Slum Planet, I feel sounds more like a full-on blend of the two sounds. I feel like there's a lot more of that industrial, synthetic sound that 3 Teeth is known for, mixed in with mixed doom metal. It comes off sounding more like a track that the band had already made and Mick came in to record guitar over it than Lex over one of the cuts from the Doom soundtrack, at least to me. And it's also just an absolute fucking banger. Like, goddamn, that chorus hits like a fucking truck, and has such an infectious riff that Lex rides so well over, fitting right inside the pocket of each strum, along with his aggressive delivery of my lies like I die by, which makes the rhymes hit a little bit harder. I also love at the end of the spoken word part when Lex says, "Thank you for your donation." There's a cash register ching that goes right into the snare that leads into the chorus, and God does it sound so satisfying every time.
Thank you for your donation.
And as usual, the song is about a dystopian apocalyptic world, which, you know, it's not like I really love all the other times they've done that. I don't know what that says about me. Though I think this one specifically is probably more inspired by something like how many times we destroy a forest just to create more concrete nightmare. And I love the line, "We must embrace our superior position upon this planet." The level of ego, self-centeredness to think that we're the superior being on this planet when all we've done is fucking ruin it for thousands, millions of years. And the amount of people who genuinely think that is quite honestly terrifying. But yeah, great song. Would have never thought in a million years that the band who made a dark industrial metal cover of a song about school shootings and that dude who made the Doom soundtracks would create such a banger.
Number 11,
Darcy made it on as an honorable mention on last year's list, mostly because I had found Blackout and started really getting into his music. I don't really want to mention weed as much as I did last year, but Darcy songs are peak smoking music. Rance Riley has some insane production, and I've never heard anything like it before. And Darcy, while he did start off sounding like Wish.com Drake, has by now formed his own sound and been able to elevate Rance's production. And I think this is at its best.
I know we no better, but we up with the whole gang. Shorty with me, bad bang, with me through the whole thing.
Gotta get it out of the way, the beat has vocal chops. It's one of the main parts of the beat, it sounds amazing, already 10 out of 10, but there's also the deep bass that really complements the dark pads, and then the chorus kicks in, that fucking synth line drops. I'm glad that we get a section of the song that's primarily just that synth line. Oh, and the second chorus switches up the kicks during the drop and it goes fucking hard. The lyrics are the typical Darcy shit, especially with drippin' like the dishes. I say especially because for the last year I've heard this man make drip bars and I can only think of the clothing meaning, which makes none of this shit make any sense until you start thinking about cum. God, I wish I was joking. Anyways, Code Red is on the main list because this song is just so insanely catchy and replayable. I wish it went on a little longer, like maybe an extra 4 bars on the second verse and or a third chorus, but at the same time, there is a charm to it just coming in, absolutely slapping, and then leaving. An absolute bop, and honestly the greatest collaboration between Darcy and Rance that we've ever gotten. I don't know what they were doing when they cooked this one up, but God do I wish they would do it more often.
number 10, Gulf of Mexico Flames.
So I've mentioned before in the past that I like it when artists combine genres or do something unique. I've also mentioned at least once my disdain for things sounding the same. The thing I'm not sure about is if I've ever mentioned at all on this channel my biggest problem with the metal genre. The fact that so many bands just sound the same. So many bands make so many of the same songs, and it's gotten to a point that I almost hate the death metal growl because of how overused it is throughout the genre. The amount of times I've gone through a Spotify-made metal playlist and it just feels like I'm hearing the same song 15 times from 15 different bands. So my big issue has just been that I want metal to be different. I want metal bands to sound unique. And when I say that, I mean this. I was introduced to Hanabi through Jonas sending me We Love Sweets with the question of, is this unique enough of a metalcore song for you? And that is a hardcore yes. From that message alone, I had already gone down the rabbit hole, following up with Sentimental Heroine and then Buko Wasau, and soon enough, I had heard the entirety of Atome Takaitu, and already getting through Daise Waijin. There was already 3 songs off of Atome Takaitu that could be put on a year-end list, but unfortunately, that's a 2021 album. Fortunately though, Daise Waijin came out this year, and when it came to picking a song from the album, I feel like Kotoshiko Soketu is such a perfect example of the band's sound and what I love from them. The first 30 seconds of the song is barely metal. In fact, it starts off with the incredible catchy sidechain synth line that appears throughout the track, with the only hints of guitars being these softer, cleaner, reverb strums on top of these nice, clean synths and plucks. When the drums come in, they're more down-tempo and playing along with an 808 instead of your typical bass guitar. The vocals as well are just the typical clean singing, more in the mid-range rather than the full-on anime vocals that appears frequently on Hanabi tracks. It isn't until exactly 30 seconds in when Yukina switches into that anime voice right before everything kicks into gear with those distorted fret slides into a heavy-ass drop and Yukina going straight into the typical metal growls. Then there's the chorus where Yukina continues with the growls while also trading between lines with Matsuri as she brings in the clean melodic singing. I hope I'm giving proper credit here. I'm honestly just going off the music video. The song also features one of my favorite things from any Hanabi track, metal growls and anime vocals happening at the same time. Oh, and how could I forget possibly one of, if not the best transition into a breakdown ever? What the fuck? And then after the breakdown, it so seamlessly transitions back into that synth line that soon leads into the chorus, giving a perfect sense of what the typical Hanabi track is like. The genre setting is set to yes. Not to mention the clean guitar solo over the heavy instrumental and the track ending on a more chill rendition of the chorus. The song is just amazing, along with a lot of their other tracks, and I couldn't be more happy to have been introduced to this band. I'm looking forward to every one of their future releases, and I can't wait to hear what else they bring.
Number 9, Pizza Savior.
Motherfucker, take your pick me out of that lineup. Did the crime, yup, now my time's up. Got out the box and I got in my bag. Now all of these bad bitches try and fuck cause I'm...
Now this one is an interesting pick, given how I put Lightsabers as my favorite song from College Park. How does the second favorite track end up being one of the favorite of the year? Well, while Lightsabers was a subversion of expectations, and I liked the direction that Logic went with that track in the Castro feature, it's still nice to hear partially of what I was expecting. Lightsabers is a different kind of track than Gaithersburg's Freestyle, with the latter lending itself more to just being an absolute banger, especially when you got 5 different rappers and all of them are just spittin'. Logic's verse is one of his more basic ones, but it still goes hard nonetheless, especially with that so incredibly clean transition into Castro, who just goes off from start to finish. I absolutely hate I'm one of one, but not the one that you want to try to run up, and I get you done up, because it throws me off every time I try to rap along to this song. Lenny's verse is great. It took me way too long to get the double entendre behind All About Peace So I Stay With a Gat. I liked Fat Trell's verse to begin with, but on more listens, it grew on me more and more. He just fucking goes off, and when you think his verse is over, he just picks right back up and keeps going. It honestly gives me vibes to Fivio's verse on Off the Grid. And then Ade finishes the track with some quick bars that has some satisfying rhyme schemes, and then of course, ends the track in the greatest way I've ever heard a track end in my life. The fact that the song originally was also going to feature Wale and Cordae is crazy, and it would have been nice to hear what they would have brought to the table, but I love what we got. I also have no idea how Cordae wasn't feeling this beat. Eugene Tsai's production is amazing on this. That's pretty much all I have to say about the song without copy-pasting my thoughts from the College Park review. It's just an absolute banger of a track featuring 5 great rappers trading verses, going off, and with no chorus to separate them. A quick 3-minute, 1-second track that just fucks the entire time.
Life is a bitch, make it sit in my lap. I finish my rap.
Number 8. Don't forget the plastic bag.
So I didn't really write a lot of opening sections to kind of like throw off guesses and then go into the song. Mostly because I didn't really know what to write for a lot of it. And I feel like I kind of need one of those for this placement. But at the same time, I genuinely have no fucking idea how the hell I'm supposed to go into this one.
You are
Liking Glorb shouldn't come as much of a shock given how I'm a diehard fan of Young Scrolls, and my brain is so fried from memes that I genuinely do not give a shit anymore. Skibbity Toilet's a fucking bop. Nonetheless, a Glorb song was going to feature on this list, but the man just kept dropping so many better bangers throughout this year, and by vengeance, I didn't know where any of this was going to go. Both music quality and the overarching story. But then the bottom 2 dropped, and holy fuck, that took the spot immediately and has shown zero signs of leaving even as I write this in 2024. I really like wholesome things and group team-ups and the both being combined. I learned that when I binged Regular Show last year. So that's the biggest reason why I love the bottom 2 the most out of all Glorb songs released this year, because there's something about hearing all the characters of the Glorb verse just trading bars back and forth throughout the verse. The first verse is insane alone, with SpongeBob and Squidwalk throwing these fast flow bars back and forth.
Squiddy, my bro, I'm back.
okay, let's get in that bag.
We spinning that profit cracks.
Let's see if that Met bitch gags.
Then transitions into the notorious PAT. SpongeBob calling Squidwalk his bro is so wholesome. It's one of my favorite parts of the Glorb verse, is that they seem like genuine bros, especially with Kill Cam, which was the original placement until this dropped and gave me more of that team up. Goddamn, we ain't even gonna get into the music video. That shit was the most hypest experience I've ever had all year, and I watched it when I got home from seeing Godzilla -1. Anyway, Sandy the Squirrel drops a quick 4 bars with great rhymes. Then it goes back to the notorious PAT, who references Kill Cam and then so naturally transitions into Mr. Swags by referencing D&D.
Told them rest in peace with a pack of head. They want it so bad, they been asking where they credit.
Oh, that's me.
That's just the first verse. Squidwalk gets onto the mic for the first half of the second verse, where he just fucking goes off. I know this is an AI filter voice, but I am so convinced that this has to be through a genuine performance, because the anger in his voice feels so human and in character, along with it working so well with these bars.
I'm a stone-faced killer like my motherfucking house is. I'ma hit that do-si-do and smack you where your mouth is.
He comes in hard with the punchlines, then the verse ends off with a bar trading between Swag, Sponge, Notorious PAT, and Squid, with each line being different for each character, along with the trading off rhyme scheme that fits so in character. I swear, Squidwalk took PAT's place in the friendship. Then Sandy comes back in to finish off the verse in such a hard way. I haven't even gotten to the chorus, with Sponge dropping his usual drug-taking and shooting up bars, with the rhyme scheme and melody going so well, and then he drops Gary is my shadow bitchy go wherever I go, and it's so fucking hard for no reason. And then Gary drops a few meows in between Swags, PAT, and Squid. It's here that I want to also mention that one of the great things about Glorb songs is that each character has a specific set of writing style, but I think that also not only applies to flows, but overall delivery, because even when it's just the same line, it's said in a slightly different but in-character way. Yeah, it's AI, yeah, it's an AI SpongeBob parody, but on a songwriting and musical level, it is so genuinely good, and that goes for most Glorb songs. I still can't believe Sad Keeney actually hits me in my feels and makes me feel cold. And like I said, I love team-ups. I love the storyline going on with the Glorb verse. Having Kill Cam drop after Sad Keeney, and like a week before I went to Texas. Then the night before my friend's wedding, Vengeance dropped. And then shortly after I was back home, King Gangsta's Cry drops. That shit was an experience. D&D dropping and showing nothing but bad signs just for them to have this song, this team up, and this comeback. I look forward to seeing where the story goes. That Christmas song is not canon. Also, that Sonic Boom producer tag only makes me think of the Sonic Show.
Now we hit 'em with the
Number 7, Ghost Girl Head.
So going from an AI parody, which is probably going to be a bit controversial, let's even it out with one entirely made by the voice actor of a video game.
They don't want me in the city at night. They don't want me in the city at night. It's my city and it might get shitty and it might get gritty in the morning light.
Spoilers for Phantom Liberty during this section. If you don't want to get spoiled for that amazing expansion, just skip to the next song. Please go play Phantom Liberty. It's very good. Now, is this one mostly on here because of Phantom Liberty and how much I love Phantom Liberty and I really want to talk about Phantom Liberty? Yes. But also because I didn't even know that Idris Elba made music, let alone rapped. And the song's an absolute banger on its own. But then when you put in the context of only being able to hear Solomon fucking Reed deliver every bar in this song in the most cocky and arrogant way possible after like 10 plus hours of the most stone cold man on earth, it makes it top 10 most enjoyable first listens of a song in my life. While Reed is a stone cold agent, he is a bit cocky. There's just very rare moments he shows it. So if you think about this being Reed at his full cockiness, using it as art, it fits really well with the song. All I can imagine during that chorus is Reed walking up and down Night City in a music video form, and God, I wish I could make that. But goddamn, Reed's got bars. Wave a 22 or a 38, that is 60 ways you gonna die, is kinda corny, but because it's Idris Elba, and for me, Solomon Reed, it makes up for it. Sounds totally in character for him, and honestly still kinda threatening. And the man goes off. If he had spit this down in the bunker, I would not have killed him. For real though, going back to reality, this is still true. Idris fucking goes off, and it blew me away the first time I heard it. The beat is also amazing. Produced by Rory Taylor, it fits so well in that cyberpunk sound. It works perfectly in my Night City radio playlist. Not really because it sounds like a radio hit, despite it being a song that can play on the radio in-game, but more because this sounds like a SoundCloud track I would download and put on my Spotify local files. Am I even able to distinguish reality from cyberpunk? I literally get in my car like V does in the game. I need help. Oh, but speaking of cyberpunk, if you played through Phantom Liberty, and especially the Reed ending, you would know what his relationship with Somi is like. How him bringing her into the FIA led to her being corrupted by the Black Wall to evil and death. So when the song ends with a woman saying, "Look what you've done to me," I can only think of Songbird. This song, and even the EP it's on, gives off the vibe that this was something Reed's been cooking up while being undercover and released on the SoundCloud of Cyberpunk 2077. This shit doesn't help when the cover art is also Reed. I can only associate this song with the game. And it is a fantastic song in that context, and an absolute banger as a standalone track.
Number 6, More Ghosts.
God damn it, fuck you, Dorian. This was one of the many painful picks to make for the list, because there's so many songs from Fanfare that I could put in this spot. It could be Freak Mode, because I fucking loved that song when it first came out and listened to it so much. But same goes for Sodom and Gomorrah, and that was even better than Freak Mode. Then the album drops, and now it's idolized, because holy shit, how could it not be? It's such a catchy bop, and that second pre-chorus is nut material. But then I kinda overplayed it, so I don't know, is it phonies? The bass riff is killer, the stepping on the beach motif is amazing, and the bridge is hilarious. Or maybe it's man-made horrors. At least that's where it is right now. The first thing that gravitates me towards that option is just the music itself. It's got electric guitars, and in general, one of the more rock-sounding songs on the album, that's already gonna draw me in. I mean, the only reason why I got into Dorian in the first place was because of My Agenda being hyperpop, but with metal guitars, and that's fucking cool. So no shit, I'm gonna like when they lean towards the rock and metal sound even more. But then there's the lyrics. Dorian's writing is amazing throughout this album, case in point, Phonies, but goddamn, Man-Made Horrors takes it to a whole other level, describing insane but believable and honestly intriguing ideas of fashion passion, and they deliver them so well. The faster flows of the verses work so well with the lyrics, while Dorian's deadpan voice fits the vibe of the track to a T. There's also some really great melodies in the middle of the second verse that make the lyrics stand out so well to me. And also, ACAB Hello Kitty Monster Guns is such a vibe. I kinda wanna own that. And if we're gonna talk about delivery, we gotta talk about the chorus. I was impressed by that high note on Freak Mode, but god damn, the singing on the chorus is insane. And then those remix screams of "Let's fucking go." Let's fucking go. Overall, you could put any of the songs I mentioned during this into this spot for their own unique reasons. I just had to go with one, and I chose this.
Number 5, a large rat finds itself trapped.
This song dropped the same day as Stand Atlantic's Kill Her, and I knew immediately this was going to be on the year-end list.
Go on and play your pitchforks in the air, just like you just don't care, 'cause you don't care. You only.
I put Red Hook on the 2021 list and was somewhat into the band back then. Sentimental Surgery was a bop until I realized the layout was an almost exact copy of Death Wish when it came to the formatting. Not trying to say anything, it was just something that put me off at the time. But man, when this dropped, this was so out of left field in the best way possible. Those screams gave me so much Arch Enemy vibes. Honestly, mostly just because it's a woman doing them, and that was what impressed me about Arch Enemy when I was a kid. And luckily, I was confirmed that it is Emmy Mac, and that makes it all the better. Holy shit, the last time I've loved an Emmy performance like this was Dead Walk. Those screams alone are just so fucking good, and there's something so relatable within the core anger in them. On top of that, Craig, Alex, and Ned don't miss either, bringing this electronic but also absolute heavy metal banger. And if you've seen my videos before, you would know I'm not particularly a fan of anti-cancel culture songs, but even those themes in this song don't bother me that much. And I think it's because, one, it's not as apparent as the other songs. Of course, knowing the inspiration does give meaning to some lyrics, but it's not egregious. Two, Emmy said that she was watching it happen to someone she knew, which gives it some level of personal reason to the lyrics. But thirdly, and most importantly, the second inspiration for the song was Roe v. Wade. Yeah, this is fine. And outside of all of that, there are some relatable lyrics in here, and I have no idea why, but the way that Emmy says dread just makes me imagine her having the biggest smile when singing it for the recording. This was just an absolute surprise when it dropped, and I loved the ever-living hell out of it. That, and the fact that I liked it more than a fucking Stand Atlantic song that I also liked, is more than enough for it to be on this list.
Number 4, Hail Satan.
Also on my 2021 list was a song from a newfound band that was solely on there because its replayability, with me stating that I didn't really relate to it. Well, shit. Goddamn, 2 for 2 on this one track alone, with not only having such relatable lyrics to the point that I want to cry when singing along in my car, but then you got that, which is basically just the of 2023. The chorus alone is so relatable to my core. Push into the corner, oh it's only ever felt like home to me, is such a perfect description for how I felt for most of my life, and I love that it's something I would have never thought of writing. And I find that line, hell, this whole song, something that I would have written at some point in time. But now that it's been made already in such better words than I ever could, I have no reason to. There's also the rest of the chorus, which after a dark period of my 2023, it hits a little too close to home. But even with all that shit aside, this song, at its core, is just a fucking banger. From little plucked strings in the intro before everything comes in to, hell, even the drums all throughout the track, Jamie Goers goes off. February 15th, 2024. I have realized the intro includes vocal chops. No doubt a fundamental piece of my enjoyment. As with On the Inside, I don't really have much else to say about the song other than it's an incredibly relatable banger.
Number 3, I Don't Like You.
We're in the flop era, baby! Let's fucking go! Goddamn, I've been so excited for the new album. Fear was a fucking beast, and then I'm hearing Bonnie and Mickey saying in interviews that everyone they've played the new music to hasn't liked it, and that they're in their flop era made me so goddamn intrigued. And then they started marketing the song for this, and my god, the TikToks. I fucking love this band so much. These guys promoted their new song by riding a children's mall ride and a shopping cart. I have never seen a band do this. I love it so much. And the teaser that we got sounded so goddamn good, it made me even more hyped. Honestly, when I heard them say they were in their flop era, I thought that maybe we were gonna get an album full of ballads, but thankfully I was so wrong, and instead the band went more in the electronic direction, and I think it's done so incredibly fucking well, and how experimental it is for their sound alone. For one, the verse, pre-chorus, and the chorus are two different sounds and vibes, with barely much of a transition. It's jarring at first, but after enough plays, that one little drum-filled transition between the two ends up working more and more. And from an artist standpoint, I love it so much, because sometimes it do just be like that. The jarringness between the verses and chorus alone makes this more really weird shit than Cabin Fever. Bonnie raps through the two verses with satisfying rhyme schemes and flows, with the lyrics being about LA douchebags and clout chasers. To be fair, I only say that because of this promotional TikTok that says would like to thank the LA douchebags who inspired this song, which makes me think of Van Gogh, so it's not like this is that out of line. Also, the electronic style to begin with isn't that out of line either, given Blurry, Evil Eye Go, Doomsday, Switchblade, EXO, and Cabin Fever. It's like saying Linkin Park sold out at One More Light like 1,000 Suns and Crawling doesn't exist. And while the chorus is probably from the perspective of the LA douchebags up until the final line going back to Bonnie, those last two lines are insanely relatable. Oh, and that's not even mentioning... God damn, I want to mosh to this so badly. Then there's the halftime outro where Bonnie's vocals get cut off and delayed in such a satisfying way, especially on this line. I guess one could say this is the death wish of the flop era because I am so down and ready for the fourth album. And of fucking course after I write that, the band goes ahead and drops Warzone and... How the fuck are these two songs gonna be on the same album? What the fuck is this album? I want it so badly.
Next time I'll stay inside. Hell yeah! Get it, hell yeah!
I feel so dumb.
Number 2, Strange Behavior.
Outside of a sentence in my American Dad video, I don't think I've really talked or shown signs of my nostalgia problem. I have in music though. My last album I made 2 songs about nostalgia and me living in the past. I have the tendency to yearn the past and idolize it to an almost crippling degree. So when I tell you I've never had a song be such a relatable gut punch like this.
So
Fun fact, up until me making this video, I never got past the first chorus. I could never get past the chorus because I've already had to endure the first verse speaking to my very being, and then I get to Haley's yearning cries to relive the happy moments, and I feel like becoming a sobbing mess, so I could never get past it because I didn't want to start crying. Look man, Nano's Blue Jay would make me bawl my fucking eyes out, and that was not a fun experience. I think having to listen to this song, and particularly the chorus, the most to make this video has numbed me a bit, so I have heard the rest of the song, and fuck, it's just so great. Those washed out guitars give off the genuine sound of memories and nostalgia. And if that first verse wasn't relatable enough, here comes the second verse, which comes in with a shake and a twist of relatability. Dear God, there's no words that I can use to describe how heavy just this opening line hits for me. I could write 1,000 songs about my nostalgia, living in the past, and wearing my rose-tinted glasses, and none of them would hit as close to home as this one does. And I think that's beautiful. That someone out there in this world that's lived longer than I have, experienced far more than I probably ever will, can write a song that both resonates with them and hits so close to home for me. That we have enough of the same connection in how our brains work, that craving for the past moments, regardless if they were actual good moments, because it at least isn't the present, can be a song. A song that is one hell of an experience. Thank you, Haley. That's all I got to say is just thank you. Thank you for making this. This was one of the weird ones for me, because usually I grade the songs on the lists based off of, like, replayability and shit, and Crave was a song that I did not play that often this year. So for it to be, like, second favorite is a little weird for me to do it, but just given the emotional connection I have to it, I think it's deserving. And as usual, before getting to the number one spot, let's go through some honorable mentions. I was a Linkin Park fan in my late teens, with the two albums I listened to the most being Hybrid Theory and Meteora, but I kind of fell out of them in recent years. But Fighting Myself was one of the singles I heard from the Meteora 20th Anniversary Edition, and I also never really got that far into the album. But it was a song that stuck out to me because not only could I relate to the chorus, but something about Mike's flow and rhyming on this track just hit different for me, and it took me way back to that time when those two albums were in heavy rotation more than Lost ever did. It's also just really nice to hear Chester's voice again.
See you on the other side.
This was both not what I was expecting to hear from Castro, and not too surprising given Logic's endeavor into acoustic pop songs, but ultimately it was just not what I was expecting Castro to drop after leaving prison and rejoining with Bobby, and especially after College Park. And I think it's because of that context, how he wrote the song while in prison, and how it was just not something I would expect from Castro that made me really like it.
Riding 4 deep, your body can breathe. Got your cousin and your niece pulling up on the street.
Deserving of honorable mentions for the great vibe, that opening flow, and you can't even eat my pussy, so you know you ain't getting no sex. What a bar!
This is fucking hopeless. Everybody knows it. Sick of wasting time on a house that's never closing.
I included the song in that attempt to revive a dead series, and it's still pretty good. The post-chorus is still amazing and the best part of the song. Love whenever it comes on. This one's a last-minute addition because I found it was actually released in 2023, so it can qualify, and being an honorable mention is pretty fitting. I have no idea why, but this song just makes me think of my trip down to Texas, despite none of the lyrics are able to be related to that trip. Something about that instrumental just sounds like sunshine, which is, of course, what I think of Texas. You know, other than the 2 storms I experienced there. Anyways, it's a song that has a great vibe and puts me in a retrospective of that trip every time I listen to it. It even manages to take me back to staring out the window on a Sunday evening as my friend drove down the long, boring highway roads of back-end Texas. I played the ever-living fuck out of this song for months after I heard it, and that alone is what made me try to put it on the main list, but ultimately I couldn't find much things to say about it, so honorable mention it is. Still a very good track, never ceases to make me dance. Can't Stop would have probably been an honorable mention had My Lane not dropped since I left, featuring a complete tonal shift from his funk sound into ambient music, with this one particular being a standout to me mostly because it reminded me of Dusk. And if a song can remind me of my favorite song of 2021, then yeah, I'm probably gonna like it. But it's not only that puts the song on here, but just because of the entire album sound itself. Massive props to My Lane for just switching a sound like that. I honestly really don't know if this should have been on the main list, but, well, this is a bop. I fucking love the chorus and Ross's singing. This was on the main list for so long because I genuinely do love this song. I've loved it from the moment I heard it and continue to love it after every listen, but like with Echolalia, I just couldn't find anything to really talk about. It's a minimalistic instrumental with repetitive lyrics, but god damn is it such a catchy and replayable bop. I don't care that it's not a rock or metal or genre bent pop metal. Poppy sounds amazing on this, and like I said, it's nothing but a bop.
Still don't wear no sweaters because the bitch is sweating still. Me and my associates hold pot like a windowsill.
I honestly did not have a Citrus Hands release on my 2023 bingo card. A surprise, but a welcome one. I love the references to fuck music, all my homies hate music, and hold pot like a windowsill is such a bar. I'm genuinely upset I did not come up with it first. Then he just gets into this hella base speech about women and Ice Spice, which I did give her EP a listen because of this, and I swear to God, if I have to listen to Stop Playing with Them Riot one more goddamn time. But nah, Ice Spice is just separate songs instead of a multi-track list is pretty good. She got some bars. Then the beat drops for some bars about older women in such a jarring way, it's great. It's the typical Citrus Hand shit that I would expect. Obviously gonna be an honorable mention. I know I keep putting him on honorable mentions, and I jokingly put him at number 1 on the 2020 list, but like genuinely, if he came out with a song that was just as good and as funny as Fuck Music, All My Homies Hate Music, I'd put it on the main list, no doubt. And now...
Number 1, gimme an OMG.
Yeah, so remember during Glorb, Dorian, and even Stand Atlantic, where I had the problem of picking a favorite song to put in the spot because I can only choose one? Well, honestly, at this point, I've just fucking given up.
I do this every time. Still running around in cynical. I'm sick, I'm so sick, I'm so sick, I'm so far from getting over it.
The Haunting were absolute bastards in 2023, dropping 3 completely different sounding songs that were all my favorite song of the year interchangeably. I don't even know how I found the band. I'm pretty sure it was through Vampires, which I also have no idea how I found that song, but it became my easy number 1 pick for how much I listened to it and the beautiful experience with the ambient sound. Along with how it's one of the only songs that has a distorted electric guitar that I have in my stoner playlists, including one that's supposed to make my brain feel fuzzy along with Boards of Canada's Olsen and a lot of Radiohead. If I haven't already said this before, I cannot listen to rock or metal while high. The loudness of everything feels like it kills my high and also at times have given me a headache. But The Haunting managed to make an ambient brain go fuzzy track, perfect for when I take too big of a hit and start panicking, while having goddamn palm-muted distorted guitars that aren't loud and overbearing in the mix, that just sit in the background nestled between the pads slowly chugging and adding on to the atmosphere. If you want a solidified number 1 favorite song of the year for this list, then Vampires is it for all of those reasons. But then Suicide Social comes around and has 666 Plus, which easily was my favorite track because of that synth line and heavy guitars, and on more plays, it started combating against Vampires for the best list. Brandon's drumming has such a groove to it, the distorted guitars are far more prominent in the mix, especially when the chorus comes in and they sound like this gigantic machine. That's not even mentioning the pacing of the strung out guitars swapping with Casey's lyrics on the chorus that just sounds so fucking good. And that goddamn synth line, holy fuck. That was my favorite part of the song from the first listen to the 58th listen. I don't know what the hell they used to make that sound, but I love it. Especially at the end when some automation or some LFO grows, bringing in so much harsh energy on that last note before it reverberates into the mix. And while I usually like Casey singing, there's something about him on 666 Plus that just hits different. The way he draws out the first and last word of most of the lines in the verses just sounds so good to me. Even something so small like the end of the first chorus transitioning into the second verse using a fucking open hat just elevates the song to so many levels. There's so many elements of 666 Plus that makes it somewhat of a struggle trying to pick it between Vampires for number 1 on the list. And then the band just randomly drops I'm So Sick, an incredibly catchy bop with catchy flows and some of the most unique lyrics I've ever heard in my life, and at that point I just fucking gave up. Like, goddamn, how are you gonna drop an ambient masterpiece with excellent use of palm-muted distorted guitars, an absolute heavy-hitting banger with the most monstrous guitars and beautiful synth line, and a ballroom bop with a catchy-ass guitar riff, and lyrics about meeting up with a communist, and the absolute fucking mood of making a song in a bad headspace and it still sounds like an eye roll all in the same year? Not to mention Casey's back again with wonderful singing, delivering in a more softer tone that it just sounds so good. So I'm sorry if you want the number 1 spot to just be one song. I can't do that this year. I just can't. It's impossible. I struggled enough trying to pick a Dorian Electra song. I just cannot pick between these three. This is the one time I will break my rule and have 3 songs by the same band in the same placement. Because the fucking audacity to release 3 completely separate sounding songs, totally jarring, genre-shifting sounds in the same fucking year is remarkable. Absolute bastards. This list was so difficult to make, and I just can't pick one of these 3 songs to be on the list. All 3 of them just has to be on here. And what better spot to put 3 separate songs made by the same band released in the same fucking year than at number 1. The talent is baffling. I look forward to anything The Haunting wants to give us in the future. This is the one good thing that has ever come from New Jersey, and it is the best. And that's the songs list of 2023. I usually tend to end these songs list with a little bit of a recap of the year, and 2023 was definitely a fucking year. Had a lot of ups and downs. Honestly feels like I had more downs than ups, but this was easily the best year for the channel so far, numbers-wise at least. Though honestly, the popularity of the Joker video and with the onslaught of your opinion is shit mid-wrong comments put me in a bad headspace for a good amount of the year, and especially during the opening of 2024. There's a reason why it took me forever to finish this video, and just in general, the lack of videos, but as I write this, the channel just hit 1,000 subscribers, which is just fucking insane. I don't have words to describe how thankful I am. I struggle a lot with what I thought was writer's block, but what's probably more imposter syndrome and overthinking, as well as just feeling guilty for the lack of videos while the numbers kept growing. I've been a bit bone dry when it comes to video ideas for the last few months, but hopefully I'll think of something. I'm sorry to anyone who subscribes expecting frequent videos, but hopefully, like several of my influences, I can build an audience of people who expect to and can accept not getting a video for months. Anyways, hope your 2023 was good, hope your 2024 is great, and also feel free to tell me your favorite songs in the comments. I'll check them out, but I can't guarantee liking them.
And of course, everyone has their own opinion, but my opinion is the best opinion. I'm sure you figured that out already.
Subscribe and please